The man bought a bunch of balloons and went to the morgue. He said to the staff member that he wanted to say goodbye to his mother. After the staff member left, he stood right under the surveillance camera, released the balloons to block the camera. Then he quickly locked the door from the inside. He jumped onto the cabinet suddenly to get close to the air vent and unscrewed the fixing screws with his hands. After opening the vent cover, a toy soldier was revealed inside. The man took out a remote control. After a series of complicated operations, the toy crawled toward him quickly. Then the sound from the toy attracted the attention of the on-duty staff. The man panicked completely. Fortunately, the toy went quiet again soon. He had no time to think more. Quickly untied his shoelaces and pulled out the nails on the coffin one by one. Meanwhile, the staff member, following the sound, came to the morgue door. She leaned against the door to eavesdrop. The sound of nails falling came from inside, which scared her into running away quickly. When the man was pulling out the last nail, the shoelace broke suddenly. He had to endure the pain and pull out the nail with his bare hands. At the same time, the toy soldier also reached the vent opening. The man picked up a cross, hooked the toy toward himself, then pulled the string inside hard. Soon he got the body in and put it into his mother's coffin. Suddenly, footsteps came from outside. The man closed the coffin lid. Finally, he hammered the nails back in with his shoes. After finishing all this, he reattached the vent cover, moved the cabinet back to its original place, put on his suit quickly and unlocked the door. He sat aside pretending to pray calmly, as if nothing had happened. Suddenly, a phone rang. The man leaned over to listen carefully. It was the deceased's phone ringing. He panicked immediately. At this moment, the administrator had already walked to the door. The moment the door was opened, the ringtone finally stopped. Looking at the grieving man, the administrator didn't notice anything unusual. Just as he was about to leave, he was stopped by the administrator. It turned out he had forgotten his balloons. In this way, he took the balloons and left the morgue calmly. The next day, his mother was buried. No one found out about his plan. The man finally breathed a sigh of relief. Next, he needed to deal with the car involved in the accident that day. He drove the car into a police car, then used his position to solve this crisis successfully. As soon as he returned to the police station, he received a new task: to arrest a drug dealer. Looking at the drug dealer's photo, the man was stunned instantly, because this was exactly the man he had hit and killed the night before. Do you think he can escape smoothly? Feel free to leave your opinions.
I gave a gift to the girl I like, but it was snatched by a jealous bully and thrown onto the ice. I endured the humiliation and walked toward the lake's center. Suddenly, the ice under my feet cracked. The icy lake water engulfed my whole body. No matter how hard I struggled, I couldn't escape to the shore. I thought I would drown. At this critical moment, I activated my superpower and teleported to the school library. People around were very surprised. Freezing cold, I didn't have time to think and ran home in embarrassment. When my father saw me, he didn't care at all, but scolded me angrily instead. I said nothing and went back to my room, but my father kept nagging. The moment he slammed the door open, I teleported back to the library again. At this moment, I finally realized I seemed to have awakened some kind of superpower. So the next day, I started practicing my special ability. At first, I couldn't master it well, but through constant practice, I achieved some small success. When I got home, I saw a picture of the Empire State Building in a magazine. It reminded me of the memories of my mother taking me there to play. So I thought, with a single thought, and actually arrived at the Empire State Building. While I was very surprised, I also realized my life could be lived differently. Because of my father's violence, my mother had left home long ago, and I decided to leave here too. Before leaving, I said a final goodbye to the girl I liked. I wanted to tell her everything, but such a thing was too bizarre. Later, I came to New York and rented a cheap apartment, but it used up all my savings, so I went to the front of a bank. At first, I hesitated, but to survive, this was the best way. I pretended to need to use the bathroom and asked the security guard to take me inside the bank. Then I used the gap to memorize the internal scene. That night, I tried hard to recall the scene I had seen during the day. As a result, I really succeeded. Looking at the mountain of cash, I was overjoyed. I started packing the money right away and teleporting it back to the apartment. I made several trips back and forth until the room was filled. Then I stopped teleporting. From that moment on, my life underwent a huge change. When I grew up, I not only owned my own luxury villa, but also had endless wealth. If you had this ability, what would you do?